Yo, what's going on, bro? This is the full campaign build SOP that I run through with every single one of my clients that I onboard. So if you've seen me on Instagram and you've seen the results and you've seen the content, this is the exact build SOP that I run every single client through. And by the end of this video, you're going to walk away with a full comprehensive knowledge of exactly what I run for clients and exactly how you can adapt it to your business so that you can print millions and millions of dollars for free with all of this information. It's not totally free, of course. You have to spend ad spend, but all the information is free. So the purpose of this is the exact sequence that I follow every single time I build a new campaign for a local business client, right? This can be a gym, this can be a salon, this could be a med spa, a restaurant, dentist, contractor, barber, anyone, right? You want to follow this in order. It's very important. You don't want to skip steps. Steps 4 and 7 are going to be the two that show up missing in almost every single account that I open, right? Now, the first step happens before you even touch Ads Manager. You want to go over your website, you want to go over your conversion events, and you want to go over your basic numbers, right? You want to make sure the pixel is installed and firing on the website. You go into your Facebook, you check the events manager, and you look for the active status with recent activity, not just installed. You want to make sure that the conversion event that you want to optimize for is configured correctly. If you're an e-com company, you want to go for purchase. If you're a service business, you want to go with lead. You want to make sure that that conversion event fires. And I can't tell you enough how much this fucking matters for you, because if you do not have the right configuration on your conversion event, your entire campaign is going to grow and grow and grow and compound on the wrong objective. And so you're not going to end up getting anything done. Now, the third one is you can answer all three of these numbers off the top of your head. The average ticket and transaction value, the current close rate, the percentage of people who inquire versus how many become customers, that kind of thing, and your LTV, what a new customer is worth over time, rough number. Now, if you can't answer number 3, you're not ready. You need to go back and you need to figure out all of your numbers here, your LTV, because that's ultimately the number that we're going to be optimizing for. Step 1 is choosing the objective, right? The default for local businesses is going to be sales or it's going to be leads. You don't want to put awareness, you don't want to put traffic, you don't want to put engagement. You want to choose sales if the business takes payment online, right? If you take a checkout, if you have a checkout set up, you want to choose sales. If you have a lead form that needs to be filled out, an email or a phone call or anything like that, you want to choose leads. This is for most service businesses, contracts, dentists, salons, etc. Now, the mistake that most people are going to make is picking the engagement because it's easy, right? The engagement campaign goal. Or they're going to boost a post, right? Because it's the button that's right there. You can press it, you can have it ready in just a couple minutes. But engagement is going to optimize for likes and it's going to optimize for comments. Sales and leads are going to optimize for the people who are actually going to end up paying you. So I would not recommend putting that as your goal. It's going to be the same budget, but it's going to be completely different audiences for both of the ads. Now, for the campaign budget setup, this is where it gets interesting. For new accounts and new campaigns, a lot of you guys don't have fully warmed up ad accounts. You want to start at the ad set level with ACB, Advantage Campaign Budget. You want to leave that off so that you can control the spend per audience when you're testing everything in the beginning. Now, once you've run multiple ads and you have a clear winner, an ad that actually works, that's when you're going to go to CBO, which is Campaign Budget Optimization. Now, a really important rule for your starting daily budget is to never go below 3 to 5x your target cost per result per day. Say your target cost per result is $20 per lead. You want to go minimum $60 a day. If you don't really know what your target CPR is going to be, you want to start at 30 to 50 a day minimum because anything lower and the algorithm is not going to get enough signal per day to leave the learning phase in a reasonable window. There's a weird trap that you can fall into when you're running ads where you run ads at like $10 a day or $20 a day, and the money is still leaving your account. You're still getting charges from Meta, but you're not seeing any results because the budget's too low. And so it's creating this negative feedback loop inside your mind where you're thinking to yourself, this is not working. Money is being drained out of my account, and you're not seeing amazing results because your budget is so low. You might get one lead every couple of days. You might get 3 leads a week. It's just because the algorithm doesn't get enough signal per day to leave the learning phase in a reasonable window. Now, round numbers, they feel safer, but they aren't required. You want to set the number that actually reflects what you can sustain for at least 2 to 3 weeks before panicking, right? So if you were to run your ad campaigns for 3 weeks and get 0 results, what number would you be comfortable with spending? What's the highest possible number you would be comfortable with spending? That is incredibly important. Now, for the audience build, let me get a drink of water real quick. The audience build, this is incredibly important. Here's what gets included in the audience. It's going to be your geographic radius. It's going to be your age range. We'll go over geographic radius in the next step, in step 4. The age range, you're going to want to match this to the actual customer, right? If you look at an example of a med spa, their real buyer is going to skew older than what people see on Instagram, right? But a barber shop is going to skew younger. You want to check your existing customer base and see if you have any data at all. You can look at your uh, whatever CRM you use. You can talk to some of your existing clients, or my favorite way is you can just think to yourself, hey, what is my average client age? Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 70, and then you want to put a buffer around that. Say most of the people that come in, say they're like 35, right? You want to go from 25 to 65 because you want to catch the upper and lower radiuses. Now, with the core interest and behavior targeting, you don't need most of this. Most of this can come from Andromeda and Advantage Plus. But if you're going to do core interest and behavior targeting, you can do a lookalike audience, right? The lookalike audience is going to be based off of the conversion events that you already have. So say you have a conversion event that's called lead. You can build a lookalike audience to find people that are just like the leads who submitted your lead form, and you can target your ads towards them. That's incredibly useful, but that's really the only interest behavior targeting I would implement. You don't really need to sit there and put in, oh, I'm running my ads to target people who have a birthday coming up. You don't need that. It's a scam. It's in the what gets excluded list, right? You want to exclude your existing customers. That is incredibly important. Your existing customers are probably not going to buy from you again unless you're doing an upsell campaign or you're doing a retargeting campaign. You want to exclude existing customers. Same, you want to exclude people who have already converted in the last 30 to 180 days via the Pixel event, right? So if someone already submitted their lead information, you don't want to show them that same ad again because it's only going to waste your budget. Now, if you run multiple campaigns at once, which I would not recommend just starting out, you want to exclude each campaign's converters from the others, or you're going to end up bidding against yourself. So if you have 3 campaigns and you're running them all at the same time, you want to exclude the converters from the others, right? Because if someone puts their lead information in campaign A, you don't want to show them another ad from campaign B because they've already become a lead. Now, this is what I talked about before, the radius setting. This is the one that's going to waste the most money because default meta suggestion is going to be a lot wider than it should be if you have a brick and mortar business. Maximum reach, it does sound appealing, but it is also how you burn budget showing your ads to people 40 minutes away who are never going to buy from you. Now, what you want to do is set the radius to match how far people are actually willing to drive for this type of business, right? Say you're a barbershop. You can do 5 to 7 miles because people are not going to drive 25 miles for a haircut. Even if they have the most convincing ad, customers for a barbershop are not going to drive 20 miles, almost never. But for something like a med spa or a dentist or a specialty contractor, that's a higher investment. And so people are going to be a lot more willing to drive for that. So that could be 10 to 15 miles. Now, more on that, right? If you have a niche or a destination, say you have a tasting room for like a wine cellar, something like that, you can put that wide, like 30 miles, depending on if you have a freeway or whatever. Now, you can widen this accordingly, but you want to make sure that it's true before you assume it. If you assume it, you're going to show a lot of ads to people that are just too far away. People might like your ad, but they're ultimately not going to show up. If you have a tighter radius, the algorithm is going to spend every single dollar on people who can actually become a customer this week, instead of people who are geographically interesting but functionally unreachable. Now, the next step is to build the ad. The ad needs one of these three jobs. You don't want to do all three at once. You want to have an offer ad, a proof ad, and a retarget ad. For the offer ad, you can have a clear first time visit incentive. This is the thing that's going to get someone who's never heard of you to get someone to buy from you just to try you one time. You can have a proof ad. You can have a review, you can have a before after, you can have a transformation, anything that's going to get someone to realize that other people want to buy from you. That's probably the strongest, in my opinion, is the proof ad. But you don't want to pack too many in. Like if you have a proof ad and you have like 6 testimonials, don't put them all in a collage, put them on different slides. You can do a carousel in Meta, you could put them on different slides so that people can focus on one at a time. For the retargeting ad, number 3, this is more for somebody who's already showed interest in what you have. Like they've visited the website, or they've started your lead form, or they've watched more than 50% of a video, but they still didn't convert. That's going to be a different message than a cold traffic ad. Usually going to address the hesitation that they have when coming in. You're not going to repeat the initial pitch here. Now here's the copy checklist that I use for my clients. You have a hook in the first line, you have a real problem they experience or a real result they desire, and they have no generic greeting. You don't want to say hello in your ads. They have one call to action. You don't want to have call, book online, or DM us. That's bad because people are not going to know where to go. You want to pick the one path that you actually want them to take. You can test this by having different ad sets. Do not put all of them in one campaign. Now, specific is going to be vague here. You want to check this item off every single time. You want to have as specific a result and as specific a CTA as possible. Instead of saying $49 for the first session, you can say great deals available. Or it's the other way around. Instead of saying great deals available, you could say $49 for your first session. That's my fault. I got it the other way around. Now, if you can say booked 11 new members in March, it's going to beat we get results. We get results. What the fuck does this even mean? It doesn't mean anything. Now for placement, you can leave Advantage Plus placements on unless you have a specific reason to not be on a placement. Like if you don't want to be on stories, if you don't want to be on Reels, by the way, 100% always put your ads on Reels. That's where 95% of your results are going to come from. You can leave this on. Step 6, we're getting closer to the end here. The 3 settings that get changed from Meta's default every single time. These are the things you're going to change every single time when you set up a campaign. You want to change the conversion event. Confirm that it's set to the event that you want instead of the event that it automatically sets to. If you want to get leads, do not have the conversion event go to add to cart, right? Now, there's a weird trap that comes up here with the conversion event. You might have a conversion event if you're a service business that's form fill, where they put their information into the form. And then there's a separate event called form submit, where they press the button to submit. You want your conversion event to be on form submit, not for form fill, because the people that fill the form are different from the people that submit the form by default. I need some more water. Give me a second. For the attribution window, you want to confirm it matches how the business's customers, aka your customers, actually behave, right? A gym membership decision, it might take a week of them thinking about it and considering it, but an impulse offer like a discount or a buy one get one is going to convert same day most of the time. You don't want to leave it on default if it doesn't match the actual buying behavior. Now, for audience expansion, advantage audience is okay. It's okay, but you want to leave it off at first if you're running low budget. It's going to pull people from wherever when Meta wants to make you convert better. And all these percentages that they show you, they say, oh, the average user of this feature gets a 2.5% increase in results. That's bullshit because it's from all industries and all businesses. A potter is going to get the exact same inclusion in that data set as a tire manufacturer. So it's fucking shit. Never listen to that. But if you're running a tight budget or a very, very tightly defined local audience, you want to leave this off. Now, this is the one that pretty much everybody skips, in my experience. This is the 7-day rule. You do not, you absolutely do not touch the campaign for the first 7 days of it being live. You don't touch it. You don't turn anything off. You don't turn anything back on because you need data. And the amount of data that you actually need is way, way higher than the amount of data that you think you need. Like, the amount of data that you actually need is way up here. The amount of data that you think you need is way down here. And if you look at Meta's official delivery system docs, they need about 50 conversion events before they have enough signal to actually scale and optimize properly. But until then, you're in the quote unquote learning phase. The learning phase can last as long as it takes to get 50 conversion events, 50. Yes, it's a lot. If you have a roofing company, you need to get 50 conversion events, which is gonna be hard, but you can actually scale while in the learning phase. I'll make a video on this in the future, but you just have to freeze. You have to freeze. Don't touch anything. Please don't touch anything. I'm telling you, this is the number one thing that I see business owners do that they get wrong is they turn things off after 2 days. They expect results on fucking day 3. Every single time you do that, it's going to reset the learning phase back to 0. And every time you change the budget significantly or edit the ad or adjust the targeting mid-learning phase, you restart that clock. Because an ad that looks dead on day 2 can actually become the account's best performer by day 9, but only if you let it get there. Here's what to do within the first 7 days. You want to look at the ad. Is it actually delivering impressions, right? If you look at your ad spend, say you have $50 a day, and it's been 3 days, and it's only at $15, if it's stuck near 0, it's a delivery problem. You can look at your ad creative. This is the most important part, is the ad creative when it comes to this. Now, is the cost per result trending down or holding steady? Trending down or holding steady is a very, very important phrase to keep in mind because if it's low one day, it does not mean it's going to be low forever. One bad day means nothing, but a clear upward trend across days 4 to 7, that means something. Another question to watch is if you're out of the learning phase yet, right? You can even check this directly. There's an option to just check it. You can see if you're in learning or not. But again, it's not super important. Let me get some more water. Now we're ending the SOP here in the next few steps. Week 2 and beyond, when you get out of the learning phase, You want to review your cost per result against the target you set. Say you set your cost per result to $19. If you have a $25 cost per result, you need to change variables one at a time, right? Don't reset everything, because when you reset everything on your ads because your cost per acquisition is too low or too high, you're not going to actually know what works because you change everything at once. And so if there is a result that you do not like, if your cost per result is too high, change one thing at a time until it starts to work again. And this is incredibly difficult because you are going to be motivated and incentivized to change everything as fast as possible because you are in your own head losing money. But you cannot do that, because if you change everything at once, say it magically starts working again, you're not going to know which one of the changes actually worked, and you're just going to keep scaling blind like this. You're not going to have a set process of what to change when your cost per result gets too high because you don't know what drives it. Change one variable at a time, never multiple at once. That's one of the main rules for week 2 and beyond. Now, for the first phase, for the first 2 weeks, you just want to build the initial ad, but in the second and third pieces, you can build the other pieces of the 3-ad stack, like proof, retargeting, um, once the offer ad has a clean week or 2 of data to work from. My chair is moving really weird. Let me adjust that for you so you can see my beautiful face. You don't want to launch all 3 of the ads on day 1 because you're not going to be able to tell which one is actually working. This loops back to the other principle. You only change one thing at a time. You want to recheck the audience overlap if you're running more than one active campaign. This is what I mentioned before, making sure the converters of your campaigns don't overlap. Here are the red flags that you need to stop and fix before going further. If you have no pixel or no pixel installed, or it's not firing on the actual conversion page, you stop. If the optimization event is set to something that isn't the thing that makes you money, if it's set to page view, link click, engagement, you need to stop. If the radius is wider than the realistic drive time for the type of business you have. If the same ad is running unchanged for 6+ months with no creative refresh and no one able to see what the cost per result actually is. Now, if the client cannot answer their own average ticket numbers, fix that right away. So if you do not know your average numbers of your ticket, your close rate, and your customer value, fix that entire thing, get those numbers before you keep going. That's probably the most important part of this entire SOP. I know I've said that multiple times, but it's very, very important. And that concludes the SOP. Now, if you want this document here, you can message me on Instagram. You can message SOP to Really the Rhino on Instagram, so you can get this document for yourself to refer to. If you want me to implement this into your business, if you want to discuss if you are a good fit for this system, you can DM me ads on Instagram so that we can sit down and discuss whether this can be applied to your business and we can ultimately print more money together. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe, and if you want more content from me, you can turn on your notifications.